Welcome to another episode of the High Performance Podcast. We're here with three-time returning guest now, John Evans from Translating Human Performance, coach of the highest jumpers in the world. Actually, I have a question relating to that. But first up, John, how are you doing today?
Dude, doing good. I grew this mustache in honor of this podcast, and
Yes.
I think it looks good. I
Mate,
I told I look like an Aussie.
You do. I hear a little bit of it. Have you ever spent any time in Australia?
No, but I need to. I
know you've had
put it on my to-do list. Here's the problem, though. I've had a lot of Aussie athletes. I just haven't. I don't have a passport because my mom lost my birth certificate. And if you don't have a birth certificate, you can't get a passport. Sorry, if you don't have a birth certificate, you can't get. She lost both. So if you don't have a birth certificate, you can't get the other documentation. And if you can't, so I had to order that first, but I need to get the other documentation so that I can order a passport. So
surely there's a way around that.
Surely not, brother.
Oh no.
Yeah, you can order another one. It just takes like months and it's annoying. So that is in the back of my to-do list because I have so many other things I'm doing. Yeah, like that is not my number one priority. Anyways, things have been good. I coach many of the highest jumpers in the world. I'm super fortunate to do that they trust me with their training, and it's been going well. Isaiah's tested 50.5. We have Tony Crosby. He's tested 50.5. Donovan has tested 48 or 49, but he's been in the air. He has a flight time of 0.989 or something like that. And so the only other two guys that have a flight time of close to a second is Anthony Height. We worked with him briefly, we rehabbed his quad. And then the other guy is Isaiah Espinoza, and he's relatively new to the scene, but he's a freak. Both those guys, Anthony Height, Donovan, all four of those guys actually, like Donovan, Donovan, Tony, Isaiah Espinoza, and Anthony Height are freak of nature athletes. I would say Isaiah is probably the least genetically gifted out of the five of them.
Oh, wow.
Easily the least genetically gifted.
I see how Isaiah works.
Genetically gifted.
Yeah, I have seen Isaiah taking his S&C and all the things outside of explicitly dunking the basketball for over half a decade now. I'm sure it was going on before I was paying attention to it. Oh, now just quick. So what's the list of people who jump 50 who you haven't coached is much shorter than the list of people who jump 50 that you have coached.
I would say... Yes, that's true. I would say pretty much, Anthony Height never officially tested it, but I think he could do it. We don't know for sure, but I would think he could do it because the problem with flight time, when you look at flight time, like on Isaiah's 50.5 inch jumps on his Vertex jumps, he's about 0.975. So almost a full second in the air, right? From toe off, his toes leaving the ground. Till his toes
so no one has touched a second. I always hear things about Michael Jordan supposedly having this second of hang. Is that just romanticism?
No, that's false. That's false. It's fake news, bro. That is he.
I was like, if Isaiah's not doing it, yeah.
No, he never even. I think the closest he got was like 870, 890. Like the free throw line dunk was like 850. 850 milliseconds, which is a lot. Like that's the difference between like a 40 inch vertical and a 50 inch vertical. So like each of these flight time metrics correspond to a vertical. And it also, this is what I was getting to. It depends on how you land. So like a 1 foot jumper is always going to have deflated flight times. So if you land on 1 foot, you're going to land with one leg up in the air, one leg down. And that's going to make you touch down sooner relatively because well, yeah, you're trying to toe down sooner. You're trying to touch the ground sooner to decrease the force that you hit the ground with, because obviously more force is more energy, and more energy means that it's going to do more damage to your body. And when you're landing on one leg, like in a shitty body configuration, that's not great. So that's why I don't love flight time. And the other thing about flight time is its intra-rater reliability is good, meaning like for the same person, it's very, very, very reliable. But when you're looking at one person to another person, it's not very reliable. Like you can't
body
say,
weight,
well,
making people come down.
No, it's just the way that people land. The way body weight plays a role. Yeah, like some people land in more of a squat than others. Some people are stronger in a deep squat. Some people innately just that's how they landed when they were dunking on a low rim hoop when they were kids, and so that's how they like to land now. Some people intentionally kind of do it a little bit. You know, and when you're reaching for something, you're going to land in a slightly different configuration when you touch down. Like it's just there's a ton of variance, and so people that have officially tested a measured Vertec or Vert trainer is Tony, Isaiah, Rivera. Espinoza has done it. Donovan has not done it yet, but he actually moves in to this house. I call it the brojo, the dojo for us, the brojo. He moves in. That's going to be the beginning of May. So hopefully he'll get some really high quality training. He's actually really new to like training. He's not his training age is really, really low. Like if you were to look at him compared to like, oh yeah, big time. Like his training age is crazy low. He probably like,
Donovan's the 6'5" guy, isn't he? Like white dude.
Yeah, he's a freak, dude.
Yeah,
Donovan Hawkins. I'm trying to put this on, but I can't lean back with it, so I can't put it backwards. But yeah, he's a freak of nature. He's easily the best dunker in the world. Like he punches the ever living piss out of a ball through a hoop. Like it is.
He's got strong already though for the long training age.
Yeah.
I've seen some weight on his back. He's taken
so
to it nicely.
Well, yeah, and I think that's like a big. Some people I heard recently, people on the other jump program that does a lot of basketball stuff. I'll call it TJF. They have been commenting that we only chase numbers and we only focus on that sort of thing. And I'm like, dude, we do
weight room numbers. I was like, what other numbers are we after other than inches?
Well, no, just like power clean and back squat. And I'm like, yeah, there's some truth to that. That's not the only thing we do. Otherwise, I wouldn't do anything else. Like,
it's a bit unfair to say when you've got so many 50-inch jumpers.
Yeah, that's also the other part is like, I think the proof's in the pudding, you know? Like we're looking at the data here.
Look at the content and see that that's a reflection of what you're actually doing.
Exactly. Right. Like if you're only seeing the highlights, you're going to see the stuff that people can have a point of reference to, right? Like you're probably not looking at my single leg RDL and saying, oh, wow, that's really good. Or you're probably not looking at my 70-meter sprint time and being like, wow, he like works on that. Or my RSI. Like there's a lot of other metrics we measure, but we don't necessarily put them out there that often. And then the other piece of it too is like dunking is now this very unique skill where it is just that. And doing it once a week to get better at that skill is really important. So you don't really have the luxury of doing plyos and a lot of other stuff because it'll take away from the thing you're ultimately trying to get better at. That's like being like, I want to be a great sprint swimmer, but you never sprint in the pool, right? Like you're going to suck at swimming because you never get in a pool and sprint. You never swim. And you're limited in how much you can jump because the forces are just violent to the body, but you can't. So the most you can do it is once a week, you know, maybe twice in some cases. Some people can do it more, but they usually pay the price. There's a consequence.
Good jumpers, good dunkers, 2 times a week max. If you're going
generally, yeah. Like I would say the higher the output, the less they can jump. Like once guys pass. There's like 2 big things. One is body weight and 2 is your vertical. So, and age, 3 is age and your injury history. So like if you're really heavy, you have crazy high forces and you're older, you're Zion, you get hurt. You can't make it through a 56 game season. You can't do anything, right? Like you're always hurt. You cannot dunk frequently. Your outputs are way too high for the structures. And so you have to, your frequency has to go down. Oh, it's unbelievable, dude. Like, I mean, it's insane.
Is there a way of solving that though with Zion? Like, is it telling him to lose weight? Like, what is it?
I think I posted this in 2019. Paul had posted something that said like, oh, Zion doesn't need to lose weight. You know, this is the way his body just is. This is the way he's built. And I was like, I'm from the world of track where we don't give a fuck about what you think and what the world is. It's like physics, you know, kinetics and kinematics. And I was like, dude is fat. Dude is so fat. He's so very fat. And when I say fat, I'm saying fat for an athlete. I'm saying fat for someone who has a 48-inch vertical or he tested like 46.
Face. Like, and it's
dude,
insane
everywhere, man. His body comp is trash. He doesn't care. I think it's more apparent now. He doesn't care. Like when you get these hyper talented guys, it's more apparent now than ever when you look at what the organization has said about him and some of the contract stuff they've put in there, like he doesn't care, dude. He doesn't care. He cares enough to change when it gets bad enough, but like until it gets bad enough, it's like too far, too late, you know? And he just doesn't have great. How many different dietitians, trainers, whatever have they fired, and like strength coaches and stuff? It's like a ton, dude. They just cycle through them like every year. And
wow,
what's that? Yeah, the pellet. Well, don't quote me on that. You'd have to fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure they've cycled through quite a few trying to figure out what to do with him.
Him cycling Anavar and Ozempic.
He probably is on Ozempic. He probably is on Ozempic. Like dead ass, he's probably on Ozempic because like bodybuilders, I think, are abusing that shit. Like it's very common for people. Yeah. Like that, that's not my world as much anymore. But I mean, there are people I know personally who are in this space of like human performance, you know, in terms of what do they call it? There's like a name for it, like a meme troll name for people that do it, where it's like they reverse age their body. Biohacking, yeah. They're into like biohacking, and they'll be on like, you know, what is it? GL1, and then they'll be on a little bit of test and you know, fish oil, multivitamin, chondroitin, MSM, all these different clusters of like, you know, a bag of vitamins and different pills a day, and then you know they're taking injectables to try to just maximize all of their stuff. And to me, it's a little bit interesting because it's like what are you afraid to die? Like you're gonna die eventually. FYI.
If you want to learn more about the general physical preparation training philosophy, we put together an extremely practical course covering all the different aspects of physical preparation, as well as a unit on programming, so you know how to tie it all together and produce the same world-class results that we get with our athletes. We've got pre-recorded lectures, a community page where you can ask questions and interact with the other GPP coaches, as well as monthly calls where you can ask questions live or just catch up and hang out with us. Check out the link in the show notes for more info. Anyway, back to the show.
Brian
Are you
Johnson
afraid of not looking?
So afraid. Like, yeah.
Dude, it's crazy. He's the most anxious person I've ever seen. He denies it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's insecure?
It's not an attractive life.
No. It's not a life at all. I think, I mean, all of us in this, you know, little podcast studio, digital podcast studio could attest the fact that if we really thought that that was the most important thing in life, we could do it. It's just that
be living differently.
Why the hell would I want that existence? Right? Is it for views? Is it for fulfillment? Is it for living longer? I don't care, dude. I like when I was in that car crash I was telling you about, could have died. When I was in, you know, there's been other times when I've been like crazy anxious and I just accepted at those times, like, yeah, as you know, this is part of life. But that's just wild. Anyways, yeah. So back to jumping.
Yeah.
Wait, go ahead.
I think the stress that he puts on himself to be this healthy, I think that's going to get at him before
add stress.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy.
He was freaking. I definitely freaking out over one of his markers the other day, and I thought the exact same thing. The allostatic stress. Sorry to derail this conversation about dunking when anti-aging a little bit as well, but I want to go back to high jump for a second. Do you get anger from the high jump community being like, I coach the highest jumpers in the world? Because I imagine high jumpers are pretty that's our fucking thing. But then they've got some unique constraints.
They can't vertex. They can't do it on vertex. So if you want to like nuance it further, like I've seen, dude, I know Shelby McEwen's peak touch. I know I don't know Vernon Turner's, but I have like an idea of generally where he's at. I know where he was in high school, at least when he jumped 7'6". Fabian Del Reed is moving in tomorrow to this house. He's a 7'6" high jumper from Sweden. I know his vertical leap. I know a handful of 7 foot plus guys. I'm talking Jordan Westner. I know his vertical. It was 43 inches. He's a 7.
He's so good at high jump. High jump just such a skill. And they've just got so good at that.
Well, no. What it is that they rotate. So their displacement of their center of mass is probably the same or higher, right? But on a vertex, they cannot do it. The only guy that's ever gotten close is, well, if you're a power jumper, you can typically test better because you don't rotate as much over the bar, but then you're generally worse at high jump. So you're probably not that good of a high jumper. You're probably better at dunking than you are high jump. So the only one that I've seen that's been able to do it is Ilya Ivanuk, the Russian guy. He tested a 50, but it was like probably not his like reach. Like his reach was like estimated at 7.4 or 7.5, like really, really low. And he's the only one that I've ever seen get close. But the thing about testing your vertical, one, measuring your reach is hard. Two, measuring the vertec is very hard. So it makes for a very complex, simple task, very, very difficult to get accurate and reliable.
55 inches of vertec just dangling.
Yeah. 50.5. But still, yeah. Like so he tested that in 2019, 2020, right around the time of COVID, because I asked him to, and we had him on the podcast actually. But they rotate. As soon as you run full speed that fast and you put your foot into the ground, guess what happens when you have a really stiff point of rotation and a mass moving very fast this way? It flips. And that's the point of high jump. The point of high jump is to rotate or somersault over the bar. So when they run full speed in 10 steps, their displacements, the center of mass displacements are higher. When you look at gymnasts on concrete will displace higher. But no one gives a shit about that, because what the hell does that do for any other sport? Nothing. No one cares, because that's not going to help you catch a football. It's not going to help you catch a rugby. What's a rugby ball called?
Football.
It's not going to help you catch an American football. It's not going to help you catch a rugby football. It's not going to help you header a soccer ball better. It's not going to help you, it's not going to do anything outside of your specific event of gymnastics, flipping, and the task. Yeah. So yes, they're freaks. And if you have them do other tasks, they're pretty good. Like Shelby McEwen can touch, 11-10. I think he's touched 12 feet off 2. He's touched higher, to my knowledge, off 2 feet than he has 1. He's a high jump bronze medalist. He's a silver medalist or bronze medalist high jumper. So why does that happen? He's asked us all the time, and it has to do with, the task is very specific to the end goal. It's like this positive feedback loop where like you flip more when you have stiffer leg, which means you can jump higher off one foot, which means you'll flip better because your leg is stiffer, which means you can jump higher. So then when you go to do that on a basketball court, what are you going to do? Just flip forward and dive your head into the hoop? No, that's not going to happen. So, and the other thing is you're constrained by space. You could do it on a track. You could test their vertical on a track, but they default to like a 5-step approach anyways. And if you put it on the apron, they flip. They just end up flipping into the pit anyways. So it's like, it just limits them. Jordan Wessner touched his best measured vertical, I think, was 43. I think that's the highest he's ever tested off 1 foot. So it's just like, he's a 228 high jumper or something like that. 227. Fabian's 6'9", but he probably could test 42, 43, on a vertec, but his best high jump, his displacements could be upwards of like 46, 47. Like Stephen Holmes, his displacement is like 57 inches, but have you ever seen Stephen Holmes couldn't dunk a basketball? Did you know that? Stephen Holmes could not dunk a basketball.
Just flipping and rotating.
Bro, he's flipping in the air.
He's got inches to burn as well.
So Fabian is Swedish. Stefan is Swedish. And I don't think his son can dunk a basketball either. His son's a 220 high jumper. He's probably more potential than Stefan, honestly, in a lot of ways. And he can't dunk a basketball either. Their legs are too stiff. They just flip into oblivion. It's hilarious. You should be able to get your neck to the rim.
I want to talk about this idea of like a really good 2-foot jumper being a good high jumper.
We're testing that actually. We're testing that this month with Isaiah. So Fabian moves in.
You can improve,
3 weeks.
Isaiah's going 1 foot.
I don't know. Isaiah's going 2. Isaiah's going to see what he can high jump off 2.
Oh, high jump off 2. Sorry, I thought you were saying turning Isaiah briefly, running a 1 foot jumping experiment.
I've thought about it, but I think he's too. We talked about this today. Isaiah's so injury prone. He's probably
all that coming down on one leg.
Most injury prone athletes. Like he could jump 40 inches. I could have Fabian go jump 40 inches. I could jump 40 inches, and he's the most likely to walk out of there injured, even though he's jumping the same height and he weighs less. Like he just is so injury prone. He's like paper mache. And no matter what you do to try to help him be less like paper mache, he's going to be paper mache. He's actually been like that. He said it today. He's like, it's amazing I've gotten to this point considering how injury prone I am. He's
I've
like,
watched you revive him so many times.
Dude, he tore his. Okay, so he came to me probably with partially torn, maybe very, very cripplingly bad tendinopathy. That was the first time. The next time he trained on his own, had crap vertical, and was not jumping well, doing a different program. He comes back to training with me after leaving. I wasn't coaching at the time. That was when THP started. Got up to 46. Then got retrained, had some back pain. We had to fix his back. Hurt his TFL, shattered, tested 50, tore his IT band, which we didn't think was possible. It is possible.
The fascia.
The fascia gurus are going to hate that one. The IT band track, bro. So he tears that and the fascial links. Yeah. And then he goes and retests 50.5 again. And yeah, so he's still, I mean, each of these injuries, like, you know, people were looking at me and saying it's my fault. And I'm like, dude, this kid was hurt before I met him. He was hurt and I fixed him to the healthiest he could be. And he hurt himself again and I fixed him again. And then I've managed it and he became the best jumper in the world. Like you're going to hurt yourself.
For people who are only partially paying attention, I can see how they look bad, but just the fact that you have rebuilt him every single time. And
we always get back.
Because you've been through that process so many times, when he does injure himself, is there a little bit less anxiety now? It's like, well, this is par for the course. Or is it every time it hurts the same?
I think it's just part of the process. I think it's one of those things where it's part of the process. Like Anthony Height tested 50, tore his quad, or potentially tested 50, ruptured his quad into oblivion, basically made him stop jumping, right? I had nothing to do with that. Donovan, just mental health, didn't want to do it anymore, gets back into it, gets close to 50, tests a 0.989 in the air, 0.993 or whatever in the air. Same session, pulls his quad. Like, who else? Isaiah's another one. Test 50.5, a couple months later, tears his IT band. Tony Crosby, test 50.5, gets knee pain. Like anyone who's on the cusp of truly testing 50 is either going to get hurt, is hurt, or has been hurt and is recovering from it. Like there's no being quote unquote bulletproof if you're that good. The outputs are way too freaking high. They're way too high. And that's what I was saying. Those three things are what's your vertical, what's your weight, and what's your age. So if you're really young, you're really light, and you have a 50-inch vertical like Espinoza, you're much less likely to get hurt. Like you're in a much better position. But even him, when I saw him, he was nursing something. Like, you know, it's just that it's the nature of it. It was his ankles. That was his were his ankles because of the speed he brings in. So it's normal. Like it's like track and field. How many elite sprinters do you know that have, I'm talking truly elite guys that run 9.7 or faster that have never had a hamstring pull? Like none. Yeah. Like that's not a thing, dude. That's not a thing. When you're dealing with
that's my whole thing. I always tell people I don't have to worry about tearing hammies because I'm slow. I believe in it. I believe it.
Yeah, like it's true.
No,
the forces, the
fast people tear hammies.
Yeah, and if you're looking at like, let's say you're looking at like powerlifters. I don't know if you guys saw this. It was a clip recently that kind of went viral, and it was about the mountain. I can't remember his name. Bjorn. I'm sure it's Bjorn.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. Is it actually?
Yeah.
Oh, I just made that up. So he literally like does squats and leg extensions and leaves. Like that's his whole session. Like, and it makes sense because when you squat 400 kilos, your back, your quads, your hips, there's so much force there that the absolute load on the body is so high. Like your muscles can only handle so much force. Your bones can only handle so much force. Your tendons can only handle so much force. It's not like it's this never ending curve that trends upwards and is infinitely high, you know, infinitely strong tendons. There is a breaking point for everyone's tendon. I don't care how thick it is. Like it is not going to get to the level that most people's strength levels are. They're incredibly strong, but you can be stronger than them, and that's why they tear, you know. And same thing's true of like a meniscus. Like you rotate 1 degree the wrong direction with 400 kilos on your back, dude, you're cooked. You're herniating discs. I guarantee you're herniating discs, and I guarantee he has tons of herniated discs. And he probably is asymptomatic, but like honest, if you put him under a microscope, not under a microscope, in an X-ray or like MRI, dude, he's going to have tons of little injuries that have built up. Strong men are the same way. They've been outspoken about it too. So yeah, I think it's just kind of comes with the territory. Yeah. Par for the course. Like it's part of the process. It's going to happen. And as a coach, you need to understand how to mitigate that as much as possible, expect it, manage expectations with the athlete, and then get them healthy again.
The GPP group program is the best deal in strength and conditioning. For less than $1 a day, you get access to my programming, as well as access to me through a group chat where you can reach out, ask questions, or have a form check. You can even get a week for free before you commit to it. Check out the show notes for more info.
I want to talk about the managing expectations as well. Not strictly. I want to talk about telling athletes to push through pain. As someone who is over time trying to work with more advanced athletes, but I feel like I have that softness in me, but it comes from a place of care and wanting to get the best results. Sure. Productively pushing through pain.
Aussies are really sensitive to that sort of thing. I'm not saying this in like a sarcastic, tongue-in-cheek way. No, it's not soft. It's like the Australian mindset with training. Physios are super popular. It's like the expectation is you should have one on the track. That's not a thing here in America, dude. The other thing too is like soft tissue work, super popular in Australia. Really, really, really common, right? Different mobility, like type things with bands and distractions and doing like rolling and stuff like that. Yeah. They love it. They're like, oh yeah, I had a little niggle in my foot here, so I took one of those lacrosse balls and kind of rolled it out a bit. But yeah, now I'm good. I can go ahead and do my whole sprint session. I'm good. Oscar used to do the same thing, dude. And I'd be like, Oscar, what are you talking about? He's like, no, man, yeah, it's a little something. I don't really know what it is. It's kind of in my foot, and it's been bothering me a bit, but I got it under control. I saw the podiatrist. Yeah, my wife's actually a podiatrist.
You married that one. You married it. Yeah.
Yeah. And there we go. Like I would hear that all the time. It's very common. You know, you see it in a lot of the kind of like training groups. Cedric Dubler is like big on that. He'll be like, oh, a little bit of hamstring tightness here. It's been a problem for a bit. Just going to do some light mobility today. And like, no one really pushes through anything. I mean, he's a unique scenario because he has pulled his hamstring a handful of times.
But do you think that's the thing? It's like, just wait till the injury. Don't train like an idiot. Obviously, we're not trying to entertain injury, but what you said about like pushing towards a 50-inch vert is somewhat.
Oh yeah, the risk reward. I mean, Isaiah and I talked about it today. He was like, "It's tough to motivate myself to want to go that hard because the likelihood I get hurt is very high. Like what is required of me to hit 51 is so insanely out of this world that the likelihood that I do it without getting hurt is very slim. And to do that, I have to be incredibly careful with every single thing I do, and I can't train." "Quote unquote optimally," right? It's not like he's following an optimal periodization strategy. We're really managing injuries and trying the best, getting as close to that as we can, right? So I think you have to understand that. And then two, you have to understand when something hurts, what is actually hurt and what that means for the session. So like I might have a whole session written for Donovan that says, look, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, right? Where Isaiah might have something that's Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. When they come in, even with Fabian, this happens too. When they come in, I write in pencil. I know that there's something on that piece of paper they're probably not going to be able to do. Why? Because that's the nature of someone who's in their late 20s, early 30s with race car type performance. Like it's just not normal to be at that level of performance. And it's not normal to not have any lifetime consequence from doing that at a high level. So you always write in pencil, and then you always want to understand what the actual problem is. And I think that's a big strength that I have specifically, but then also all of the coaches that we hire, and Isaiah himself, and even the other coach that we've added who's a physical therapist, and been in school for 3 years after his undergrad, is like, you have to understand what the problem is. And most people just want to shotgun approach it and not actually figure out what is happening. And oftentimes people want to kind of like just what's the right word? They basically want to summarize it as, oh, well, it's fascia, or oh, it's a nerve, or oh, it's the bursa. A bursa is like the number one thing I hear all the time. I probably hear it's a bursa like 90% of the time. It's not actually a bursa. And that to me is so funny. They'll be like, it's a bursa. And I'm like, I don't think it's a bursa. I'm like, I've never worked with an athlete with a bursa issue. That was actually a bursa issue. Maybe like one. And like there are rare cases where it is something really unique.
It's
but
the knee typically that's sort of blaming a bursa or?
No, usually in the foot. Sometimes you'll see it in the foot. Okay. Sometimes you'll hamstring tendon. People will say bursa, like distal hamstring tendon. So like down by the knee joint behind the knee. But like, unless you have imaging, there's no way to know. So like, I'm not a doctor. I don't diagnose, but I can say, hey, it could be, in my experience, when I had that pain, it was this. And so as someone who's had every single pain, injury, jump related injury in the book, I generally know when someone's explaining something, they point somewhere, I can tell generally what it is. And that's been corroborated by a lot of my physical therapist friends and medical doctor friends. You know, at this point, I'm old enough where we've all gone through our schooling and I can bounce ideas off of them. And, you know, it's like the common ones we see a lot of back injuries. Now, those are generally treated the same way. So it's not that big of a deal. We can fix it in a given timeline when it pops up, if it pops up. Sometimes it doesn't pop up. And sometimes it's just related to the equipment, right? Like if someone has a belt squat, I can work around it really easily, right? Like it's super easy to work around that issue. Or like even a leg press or leg extension.
Is it more incidental or is it just slowly developing over time?
I think it's dependent on, it's both. I think it's both, but more so incidental. I think it's like there's something in there that was overloaded too long. And it was we use a lot of Stu McGill's stuff. So his whole theory is like, you know, it's basically dripping into a bucket that's already overfilled with training load. And then that it overfills. And that's when you could have a herniation, or you might have a bulging disc, or you might have something else. So I'm not a doctor. This is just what I've gathered over the years of working with people smarter than me. And, you know, that's oftentimes what the issue is. And it's usually with the back, it's neurological. So you're going to feel referred pain a lot of the time, and like your hamstring. I think that's when people
start to stress out about back pain as well. Like whenever it's like just shooting in and referring to different places.
The thing is, like, I've had that for years. So like for me, I just don't even think about it. Like I probably still have sciatica, but maybe I just forgot. Let me see if I can induce it. It's hard for me to induce. But the thing is, my back I don't have any low back flexion anymore, because like my body has compensatory adaptations that literally I can flex my low back and I can induce sciatica, but like it's not natural. And I had to re-educate my body on how to do that, which why would you ever want to do that in the first place unless you need to be in spinal flexion? But yeah, I totally like him.
T-spinal is very popular these days. People are loving them for the gram.
Yeah, for the gram. I mean, it's not as popular anymore. I feel like that craze is
dying
like Bowflex. I feel like it's dying like Bowflex. Shout out you, Angus, for doing the Lord's work. You're doing the Lord's work over there.
I relaxed a little bit.
Yeah, what happened?
No, dude, I've been dealing with so many fucking Scientologists, like legitimately, that I'm just like, they just make up stuff about you, and it's like, it just gets to the point where like the content arc is so fun. Yeah, yeah, they're fucking Scientologists. It's fucking.
Wait. You're saying, can you talk about this?
Yeah. So like basically, I mean, the main Scientologist I'm having an issue with currently is Jeffrey Wolf, who decided to call me out because I passed him in Instagram followers. And he used to work for Knees Over Toes guy. I made the mistake of doing a seminar at his gym in Clearwater, which I now know is a Scientologist.
You were in Clearwater?
Yeah.
Dude, you know that's like an hour from me?
I did not. Florida's a big state.
Yeah, I live in Lakeland now. Yeah, but an hour is not that crazy. But anyways, that's...
For some reason, I thought you lived in the middle of the country. I don't think I have you pegged in Florida.
I've moved all over, man. I've moved all over. So I just bought this house like 2 months ago. So I was in Orlando prior to that. And then prior to that, I was in DC. And then prior to that, I was in San Francisco. And then prior to that, I was in DC. And prior to that, I was in Pennsylvania. And prior to that, I was in California. And prior to that, dude, I have probably moved once every 6 months for the last like 10 years. So I don't blame you. I was in the Midwest at one point.
couldn't keep track here. But yeah, so one of the guys who used to work for Knees Over Toes guy, I assumed he wasn't a Scientologist because I was like, that's why they broke up, surely, because he wasn't Scientologist enough. Turns out that wasn't the issue. The issue was obviously something training related.
Wait. So it wasn't training related?
There's just the ATG cult.
Oh
Just
yeah,
the
yeah,
ATG code.
yeah.
Even forgetting the Scientology that it's
so
affiliated with.
you just got so much hate that you just decided like I can't take it anymore.
But also to the point where like certain people with decent sized Instagram followings are saying like pretty intense stuff. And I'm like, fuck. Like to the point where I'm like, what? Do I just go be like, this guy's lying about me? Like even that seems like defensive. And it's like, well, you can ignore it. But it's like, yeah, they got a decent sized following. So I'm like, fuck, I'll just go back to like just doing my own thing for a bit.
You know, I do think that that's the best strategy. And that is the danger of it.
I know you've had fucking.
Oh, dude. I mean, yeah.
stress
Anytime you fight the good fight, you're in trouble, brother.
Comes at a cost.
You're coming. Yeah, dude. It's coming at a cost. And you know, even if you have all the data and the conviction and everything else, dude. I mean, you know, I've kind of realized I've gotten to a point I don't even look at comments anymore. I don't even argue with people, and I don't even care. And I heard it once like this from rugby strength coach. I forget what his first name is right now. It's slipped in my mind. He used to. Yeah, Kia. Yeah. I love that guy. But he's like, you have to view it because at the end of the day, who cares? Like the only reason it matters is if it impacts your margins and impacts your business. So what you kind of have to realize is like, and he said this, there's concentric circles. And like, as you go out of that concentric circle, you're going to realize where your actual demographic is. And he also said it like this, like, yeah, there's going to be people that are like, you know, fuck this type of person or, you know, whatever, the person that does this training. And there's other people that are like, I love it. And if you love that type of training might be your training and they're the person that's going to lean into that. So being polarizing can be to your benefit. And I'm not saying go out there and like start a war with, you know, every coach. But I also
you have
realized
to have a point of difference.
Oh yeah. And I think too, like, I don't care at all whenever, you know, people disagree with me or whatever. I just don't care anymore. I've realized like it's better to just stay in my lane. You're probably at that point too. And the anxiety isn't worth it. And people don't realize how anxiety inducing it is when you're arguing with like 50 people who are all part of a community that believe against the thing you're saying.
Oh my God.
So
are you an anxious person naturally as well? Like prior to social media.
Yeah, dude. I'm already anxious. I don't need more anxiety. So for me, it's like, there's just no benefit in me doing that. And I mean, if someone's going to try to have a genuine conversation with me, I will, but I'm not going to get emotional about it. And I'm not going to like try to prove them wrong. Like the Lever King dude, he posted something about me and I thought it was so funny.
I can't believe you're using it. You're not dead naming him. Dude, he's fucking functional patterns guy to me always. I will never submit and call him Lever King.
Oh, I think it's hilarious. I think Lever King is the funniest name ever, dude. Like, I think I can't help but like, it's so comical to me that I didn't even know what his old thing was, but it's so funny to me that like, it's laughable. You know what I mean? It's literally laughable. And the best part of the video is that then he goes, I could train this guy way better. And I was like, oh my God, dude. I was like, okay, buddy. And I just was like, all right, well, what do you think I should do? He's sitting right here.
You know what I need? What
achievement
achievement I need? I'll know I've made it when Naudi uses one of my athletes and it's like, I could train him better. He hasn't done that because was it Isaiah or?
He used Isaiah, yeah. And then he was like, this coach and this athlete is doing blah, blah, blah. And I literally told him, I was like, keep my name and my athlete's name out of your mouth. Keep your tongue behind, keep your forked tongue behind your teeth. And I just like, I was like, basically I just said like, I won't talk about you if you don't talk about me. And I didn't even address it on my story. I thought it was laughable and people tagged me in it. And I was like, yeah, it's so stupid. It genuinely didn't bother me because I thought it was so stupid that I was just like, dude, people are laughing so hard at the end of that video where he's like, I have to train him way better, bro. I was like,
some of his unintentional comedy is actually fucking phenomenal.
Oh, dude, I was dying. It was so funny. But I was just like, whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, do what you want to do. I'll do what I want to do. And we'll see at the end of the day who gets results. I can promise you this. If you're training the way that you're advising, it's not going to lead to results. So that was like more so where I come from is, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying is I'm very results driven. Like I don't take it personally if my athletes get worse or better. I don't even necessarily care about like an athlete using an exercise or anything like that. Like if they want to do tib raises, I don't give a shit. What I care about is you claiming that's what's going to be the reason your vertical goes up. Like then I'm going to be like, dude, there's nothing wrong with the lift, but what you're saying is just factually wrong. Like there's no data to indicate that that's the reason you're going to jump higher.
The fitness industry will never truly recover from Tibgate. Like that developed its own economy within the fitness industry How many $1 million businesses got started just selling tib bars?
Oh my God, that's so funny. I've never heard it called Tib Gate.
Yeah.
It felt like it went on for too many years to refer to it as just Tib Gate, but I mean, that's how I'll remember it.
All right, Jacob, go ahead. Sorry, that is so funny.
Going back to point of difference, I see a lot of creators having different methods with getting dunks and training people to dunk. Some lean into S&C more, some lean into skills. What would you say that sets you apart a bit more compared to everyone else in the industry?
Well, I think what's funny is we were the first coaching service. Most people sold programs. We were the first online coaching service, even before ATG, before PJF, I don't even think does coaching, even before Dan Back, even before Joel. Joel may have done coaching for like $1,000 a month, like something crazy expensive.
The earliest I saw was like YouTube ads when there was highlights for NBA, and it would be like Boingvert. I don't know if you heard of that.
Boingvert, but they weren't coaching. They were just programs.
Oh, it was programs. That was ages ago, but
yeah. So coaching in and of itself was, I was the first person to do that. And I did it through DMs, and I did it off. That was for jump training coaching at the price point that I had it. I started 6 months before,
That's
or 4 months
for
before
jump
Ben.
training. That's what it was called. Yeah. Sorry.
For jump training? What do you mean? Wait, what?
Was it for jump training?
What are you
No,
talking
sorry.
about?
What was the name before THP? Was it something like that?
No. So it was translating human performance was THP. It was the same, but
It always was.
I was just jumps coaching. Yeah, I just said, hey, I'm coaching. I literally didn't start as a jumps coach. I started as a coach, a strength conditioning coach, in specializing in power, speed, and jumping, like track and field, basically. And I'll help you in any sport. Just be the most powerful athlete you can be, explosive, elastic, whatever. I'm going to use all the most advanced methods to get you there. And then I coached Isaiah and became a jumps coach, which was cool. That's always what I wanted to do. I'm not complaining. I was just like, I did not. That was never the plan. The plan was never to coach dunkers, ever. Never.
Just general S&C,
it was general,
in the college sector, or hypothetically, what was the plan?
It was be a coach and Olympian, be the best coach in the world. That was the plan. Be the best jumps coach in track and field in the entire world. That was my goal. That was my goal at 14 years old. There's probably somewhere written somewhere in 2007. So I started reading research, a ton of research when I was in high school. I read textbooks, Power Plyometrics, Bompa, Super Training, a couple others when I was like 19. Did an internship with Mike, who had a PhD in biomechanics. So I basically had a doctor of biomechanics teaching me, which there's not a lot of them. And there's certainly not a lot of them specializing in track. And there's certainly not a lot of them. Michael Young. He's very smart. Okay. Mike Young. So he was coaching at LSU for 4 years underneath Boosh Exnader. Boosh Exnader is probably arguably the best track coach ever, right? So our speed, power, jumps coach, right? So I was like, if Boo's the best and I'm trying to be better than Boo, I need to go learn under Boo, or I need to learn under Mike. So that was my goal. And I did that. I thought those guys were the best, genuinely. I still do this day think they're some of the best. Now I think that when it comes to jumps coaching on a basketball court, like dunking, I think I'm probably better. But in track, I think they're better coaches. They skin in the game, the proof is in the pudding. So, I learned. And then I worked under Mike for a couple of years, did a bunch of hours interning, worked with Dan Paff and all the Altus group with Stu McMillan, who actually interestingly posted with Andrew Huberman. And I was like, no way, this is crazy. So
he's gone Hollywood.
He has. And so, yeah, I worked with those guys. Then I worked with Mike for a little while, and I was like 24 and I was like, screw this, I'm going home. I quit coaching at 24. I was like, I'm done. And then I had gotten Isaiah healthy again, and he got him to a 44-inch vertical, and I was making no money. I was making like $2,000 a month. Each paycheck was $900, maybe less. And that was every 2 weeks. It was bad.
That's going to rent and living.
All of it was going to rent and food. And that was it. I couldn't save a dime, and I couldn't do anything. Like, I had no life. So I was like, screw this, I'm moving home. And then that's when I started THP, which was Translating Human Performance, THP for short. So at that time, that's when I started coaching Oscar. And that's whenever, for sprints, dunking, he dunked, and then he wanted to do sprinting.
John got my brother his first dunk, just for everyone who's sort of listening. Most of them will know my brother.
We absolutely love doing this show. And one of the most exciting things for us is watching it grow because it means we can commit more time to it, as well as have access to better guests to bring you even more quality content. One of the most impactful ways you can help us grow the show is by shouting it out, screenshotting this episode, and sharing it on your stories to let people know that you're listening. Don't underestimate how influential you can be on helping us grow this show, and we appreciate it so much.
How long were you coaching him for? I think it was a couple of months' work because
6 months, maybe?
and there was such a gear shift in his S&C. Like his S&C was very basic, just strength and hypertrophy.
Was he only touching rim?
Maybe touching rim. Maybe
put a tennis ball through, or did you get him onto that?
I can't remember, honestly. You'd have to ask him. But yeah, he got his first dunk. And then after that, it was like, well, what do you want to do? And he's like, I think I want to do the sprints. I want to do the 100. So then he started to do that. And I think he trained with Cody for a little bit, or Dan Back or something. And
Cody,
I thought that, yeah, Cody's great.
Athlete X for people listening.
Cody, what's funny is Cody Bidlow and I did the same internship. So Cody and I have very similar mentors. Yep. So that's how we met. And then Rolf is one of his mentors.
That would have been a sick room to be in.
I know. Yeah. So Rolf is one of my mentors, Rolf Ullman, or kind of like friends more so. It's one of his mentors, I would say. So Rolf is like the homie, dude. I love Rolf. And Rolf and I lectured in Seattle 2 years ago, and we became really good friends from that. And I think he just realized that I'm like a bright kid and I like have a lot of energy, and he liked that. So we get along super well. And he's so funny, dude. I love that guy. I could literally just hang out with him and drink beers all day. So
is that your advice for people who want to follow in a similar path? Is just just find the coaches that you respect. Find a way to get in the room.
I think it's more so like, okay, you have to, you need to set a goal of being the best. That's the first thing you need to do. And then you need to make a roadmap on how to get there. And a part of that roadmap requires you to read a lot of textbooks, and become smarter than everyone else. And then the second thing is you have to develop the skill of coaching. So you have to ask yourself, what does it mean to be the best coach?
Because they're opposite qualities as well. Like being the book nerd and then being able to relate to an athlete often.
They're totally different.
Yeah.
Like there are some people who would on a text. I used to be like very, very good. Now I'm kind of more so on the practical side of things, application. And most of what I learned comes from application, not a textbook anymore. Almost all of it comes from application. And that's the luxury I have of coaching a lot of athletes, because I can learn from each of those case studies. And then I can compile and generally find a trend and then test that on my best athletes and then other athletes, and et cetera. So I'm constantly testing at any one time 5 to 6 programs. More sometimes.
I want to know what your thoughts are a little bit on like individualization as well. Like as you were developing these systems, like obviously there's some level of individualization. Is it something that
No, it is.
Okay.
There is. Yeah. So it's kind of funny. I used to ask myself that question all the time. Is like, well, if individuality is one of these like massive training things, and I need to identify these deficits and I need to address these deficits, but then you're just doing deficit training. So then you have to ask yourself, where does periodization fall into the equation? Because periodization follows strict rules, more or less. And there's different models, and these models don't really take into consideration individuality. It more so takes into specificity and progressive overload. So, and variety. But then you're saying, well, what about individuality? Individuality is not deficit training. Deficit training is a form of individuality, like training and being individualized.
Into it.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily a long-term fix. And what it more so is in the framework of periodization, in my opinion, is dealing with injuries, like I talked about, writing in pencil. That's a big piece of it. Understanding timelines. When is that athlete want to peak? When is that athlete jumping well? When are they not jumping well? It's learning trends about that athlete. That is individuality.
So have you noticed, because this is something that's Mike Teixeira is sort of a big advocate for this in powerlifting, individualizing the time to peak. That is like a very individual factor they feel in their system. Do you see that in your athletes? It's like, Donovan, I need 4 weeks and then he falls off a cliff. Or maybe Isaiah's like 6 to 8 weeks and then falls. Is that's a big 100%. Rock of individualization?
That is like, okay. I would say that is, you only know the answer to that through data collected on that athlete. And you only know that through years of coaching an athlete. And most athletes are not patient enough to get to that point where you can learn that information. That's a big underpinning thing about it. So when I start coaching an athlete and I'm using my big brain, I'm saying I go in there, Like I have a new kid. Shit, I have to write his program. His name's Dylan McCarthy. Dylan McCarthy has a 49-inch vertical when he came to me day one, right? And my other athlete, Austin, was like, hey, to quickly answer your question, massive difference in unloading between Isaiah and Donovan. Huge. Donovan needs like, I think 6 weeks. Isaiah needs about 1 to 2 weeks. I need 3 months to unload. So it's massively different. Depending on how you do the taper and how you view a taper. Like a taper in research is typically, like Indigo Mujica would say, it's 14 days, generally. And that's mostly for endurance running, but they also found that to be true in other sports. And this kid, when I get a new athlete and I don't know the answer to that question, you have to collect data. And how do you collect data is you talk to them and you ask them questions about like, hey, when do you jump your best? When did you jump your worst? What were you doing at the time? What were you doing 6 months prior? What were you doing a year prior? What were you doing 2 years prior? Mm-hmm. And that window can be as big or as small as you want it to be, but you have to be good at discerning what is important, what is not important, and what actually led them to being at that level and what didn't. Because there's so many variables with jumping. It could be adrenaline. It could be caffeine. It could have been the rim was low. It could have been that time of day, like there's so many things. It could have been, did you carb intake 72 hours out? Were you sick previously and you were down 10 pounds? Like the variables.
There's so much noise. There's so much fucking noise in that regard.
So much noise. That is the perfect way to describe it. And so you have to discern how important that noise is. And if it's actually noise or if it's
data or signal.
Is it exactly. I love that. That's a beautiful analogy, beautiful illustration. So with Dylan, we had to, this kid does training I would never program for anyone else on planet Earth. Literally no one. He knows that.
I was talking about this in my mentorship group today. Like, I'll never judge a coach's program that's been sent to me again until I have way more context on the athlete. Because some of the shit I've found myself writing for people lately, I'm like, I would not want anyone to stumble across this without any context. Yeah.
And that sometimes happens. Like, I mean, people,
I think it's popular in our field.
Go back in Isaiah's training and see that. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. And I try not to, and I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. And I generally don't critique someone's program unless I know that they're a good coach. Like I'm not going to, and I generally don't have critiques. I'll just say, I like this. I like this. I wish they would have done this. They probably didn't because of X, Y, and Z reasons. Yeah. Like I create context for a daily viewer, or just an interesting viewer.
So with your programming, do you try and replicate that same scenario that they have that high performance, or do you just control what you can control and then just hope that they get
I definitely the former, but you test it over and over and over again and refine the data. So for example, with Isaiah, we thought that a 2-week taper would be the best thing for him, right? We've tried that numerous times. Sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't. He's tested 50.5 on week 1 of a new cycle. And you might ask yourself, well, why do my athletes always jump their highest during week 1 of a cycle? Okay, well, here's some food for thought. Maybe you were wrong about the deload being sufficient. Maybe increasing intensity to maxes, like rest and test, actually fatigue them more than you thought when you're looking at really neural aspects, and you're seeing that in the data. So like at the end of the day, the data doesn't care about what you think or what the research says or what 99% of the population is going to react like. You could start with that as a baseline, and then you go in and you say, okay, let me test it with them. And then you get the data and you refine your approach and you test it again. And like, that's a scientific method that a lot of people don't take in coaching or in writing programs. Like to me, planning, training, and writing programs is the art of coaching. I think that you could be a shit coach, but if your program writing is unbelievable and you have a way to communicate what certain lifts are. I mean, I'm saying you can do the basics of like show them the lift and teach them the lift, but you're like a dipshit when it comes to, you could never go on a date with a girl and successfully close the deal. Yeah. So, you're just like you're just like a moron when it comes to interacting with people. You have no emotional intelligence. I think like you're probably not, you like that, Angus?
I'm relating a bit.
So
I wanted to know as well, like I find it hard, especially in my coaching with my clients. How do you find, especially at the higher stakes that you have with a coach, as a role as your coach, to pull back or to push harder? And is that just reps over time with the athlete, or is there some sort of tell signs that
it depends on the demographic. So I know my demographic really well. I know my demographic incredibly well. So it depends on the demographic. Like if you're saying my demographic of jumpers, these kids want to work hard. They like working hard. And if they don't, they'll never achieve their goal of jumping 50.5 inches. They won't. They probably don't have it in them to get there on genetics alone. You have to work to get to that vertical. You cannot step on the court day one after never having jumped, never having done anything other than powerlifting and jump 50.5 inches. I don't care if you're the world record holder in power clean and clean and jerk. I don't care if you have the world record 100 meter dash time. I don't care if you have the world record high jump. When it comes to testing your vertical on a Vertec, if you have not done that skill and you have not practiced it and you have not trained to that point and you don't have the will, the desire to train, you will not get there. That's the beauty of what I do. I'm really fortunate to be able to work with athletes that want to work hard. So I never have to wonder about it. So generally, I am known for crushing my athletes. I probably take that from my mentor, Mike. I'm always going to err on the side of you can do more, you can go harder, you can push more outside of injuries. And if they are dealing with an injury, I'll find a way to make them suffer outside of that injury. So for example, if I'm week 1, week 2, week 3 with an athlete and I know they're a softie, I might give them an easier program, right? And I'll see their buy-in. What's your buy-in? Did you do all the workouts that I wrote? Because these are easy as hell. If you didn't do these, then you're certainly not ready to take the next step to the big boy stuff, right? So yeah, you do exactly. And maybe this is the whole like lens of what I'm saying. And this is in business too. I realize this is you're always collecting data, whether you realize it or not, and you're probably collecting better data than you realize. And most people think that data is not valid unless it's in like I imagine a glass box with nothing but like a desk and a table where you can eat in a bed and they control the oxygen and the temperature and everything else. And like, there's a squat rack in there and you only do those at certain times. Like people think that data's dog shit if that's how it's not collected and you remove all the variables. But the reality is life has a lot of variables. And so you want to constantly
ecological
take
validity
noise into consideration. Ecological validity. Holy hell. I like that one.
Look at me, get a little human thesaurus.
Do you think based on what you've been saying,
I feel like people treat injuries like they've been training wrong or programming wrong. And I think they can because of that. Like you can train someone like a fuckwit.
You could come to that conclusion. For sure.
And like what you say, and it's like, you've always got this thing of like, nah, I'm trying to get a 50-inch vert. It's like, that's just, I mean, yeah, if you're constantly getting injured at 30, it's like, we have to rethink things. But when you are chasing a certain thing and when you're over a certain threshold, you can't be tearing apart and revising your program every time you hurt someone.
Absolutely not.
Because I've been through phases like that historically.
Like with yourself?
No, even with clients' programs, be like, I fucked up there. Like there was something in the programming. It's like, nah, they were going for a big lift.
Dude, they could have slept wrong. Like they could. There's so many variables in there. Like Isaiah, you want to have a good pulse on what injuries your athlete has. And I mean, dude, personal training clients are way tougher because they're babies. But like my demographic, they want to work hard, so it's easy. They're willing to they will grind themselves to a pulp, and I have to tell them not to do things, right? So that's what I was saying. It depends on the demographic, right? Because if I work with a 45-year-old woman, I will never work with a 45-year-old woman because I can't do it because I don't want to. It's annoying to me, and I shouldn't have to kick you in the ass to get you to do the squats. You should want to do that yourself. I can't make you do that.
Susan from accounting, power cleaning, depth jumps, got to pure chaos.
Yeah, pure chaos. That's not gonna. Well, I would never do that with Susan from accounting unless she was a world-class high jumper at one point. But if she's some 180-pound, 35 BMI woman who doesn't has never lifted a day in their life, then we're gonna start with can you do a push-up on your knees? Can you can you do a quarter squat without getting a heart attack? But most people can handle more than you think. And I like to treat them like athletes and I like to address them like athletes. And I don't like working with quite older population where you're inheriting decades of injuries. I don't mind it with dunking athletes because typically if they're trying to dunk, they're at least healthy enough to jump. But when that happens and you get those individuals, dude, you're starting them on isometrics for 2 weeks, 3 weeks of just wall sits, just to get their tendons stiffer and unload their spine. And then I might put them on a machine-based loading for 3 weeks or something like that, because then I can unload their spine and stiffen their tendons and strengthen their muscles.
How good are machines for just deloading the spine?
People used to hate on machines, and we were in this functional training BS, and it's like so garbage to me. Like, dude, Yuri Verkhoshansky literally says, if I was able to get athletes to do quarter squats with 600 pounds, I have them do this, but it's too hard on spine. So we do leg press and we do leg extension, other things. And we do plyometric. But like, if they could barely afford the leg press, if they could have that damn belt squat, he would have had them quarter squatting 800 pounds with one leg.
Yeah.
Hand sport, yeah, like he would have tried that. I mean, I've tried it, and the consequences, you'll tear your cartilage into oblivion. But you know, it's a consequence.
What about the Trap Bar Smith machine slammers? Have you ever been tempted to give them a go?
Carsten Holmes.
That's legendary.
Crazy? Carsten actually, dude, he actually trains at the same track as one of my athletes, Bartek, because he's Norwegian, right? Yeah, so he that track is the national team track and field track, right? And the athlete that I coach, Bartek, he is Norwegian and he has access to that track. So he can East Bay under off one. He can 360 East Bay off one at 5'11". Like he's a freak. And he's just another one of the guys. Just another one of the guys. We got a lot of those guys. But he trains at the same track as him. And I was like, is that where cars like that kid trains? Super,
you
super
just hear him
world.
screaming in the background. Yeah, he's such a nut job.
Dude, I've talked about that though, and I'm just like, you know, it's one of those things where I try to look at it and try to make a rationale of it, and I really can't. But I'm sure maybe they know something I don't know, dude.
It's an awesome wall.
It's like a bouncy ball. It's like a trap bar bouncy ball. That's what I call it, a trap bar push down. You push it into the ground so it bounces up high enough for you to push it into the ground.
But yeah, I would love to chat to the coaches and I'd be like, oh, give me the detailed explanation. But like when I look at that, I'm like, all right, we're just ripping shit. Like, you know.
No, dude, they're not. Yeah, there's no, I don't think they could. I don't think there's a rationale of it. Do you know Dan Paff used to create fake exercises? Do you know that? Dan Paff used to post.
To confuse people who were trying to steal the secrets?
Yes.
And, yeah.
They would try to copy what he was doing on the internet. So he would create fake.
Wow.
Like he did one where it was like a spotted reverse depth jump and he's like standing behind the box and Greg is like jumping backwards from the box. And he would like grab him and spot him and then stare at the camera and he filmed it for like 7 seconds and stopped filming it. And it has like 3,000 views on YouTube. It's like Greg Rutherford does backward step drops. Like,
I'll give you a bullshit exercise that you could spread. This is it. I just thought of it. It's the band assisted depth jump.
Oh, wait, where they like pull you up as you come down?
This one?
Yeah. So you're like, this is a new strategy for minimizing ground contact and just jump off something really high, get the big thick band. I reckon.
And then bounce on them.
So, yeah.
I mean, so what's funny is like, when you look at that and you're saying like, oh, well, if the limiter for me creating force at these intervals is that I don't have enough time, I'll just decrease the time and try to generate as much force as possible by getting assisted. But that's not how gravity works. So when the fuck is that going to, when is that one going to work?
It'd be nice.
The other one I've seen, it'd be nice. The other one I've seen is I think what would be interesting, which could work, is the sprints on a treadmill where you have a harness and it's kind of like Ultra G. And
reduce
you're able
gravity
to,
a bit, sort of.
Yeah, so you're able to get higher, shorter ground contact times, potentially higher peak forces, but you have a lower mass. And that is, if that's the limiter, if rate of force development is the limiter and you can generate higher rate of force developments, then, and maybe your curve on the sprint looks normal, maybe there's something to that. The problem is, who the hell has a treadmill that goes 27 miles an hour and is able to I don't even know. Is it self-propelled? Like, how does it even work? I don't know. But anyways, I thought about that would always be interesting. Another one I've thought is like overloading, like the pulley systems that used to pull you forward. You know, the theory was you're braking every step. You're not actually accelerating. I think that, that one you maybe could make a case for it.
I've noticed people getting more into that assisted sprinting.
I think assisted sprinting isn't as bad as people think. I think that the common trend was that you are decelerating each step. And if the limiter is downward force and you're putting your foot out in front of you and braking each step, that is not good. But the upside is
right?
Yeah, well, when you look at what it used to be is it was slingshots. So you'd be running and someone was
so
by you.
Super aggressive.
Yeah. But now the logic of downhill sprinting and the 1080 one is just very, very, very light assistance. Like I'm decent friends with Jacob Despard, and he does that quite a bit with Rolf. And he's a pretty fast chap, I would say. He's a pretty fast guy. What do you got? What is he like popular in Australia? Like do people know who he is, or is he just kind of like, is it one of those things like pretty niche and only if you're in track, you know who he is, or what?
I think you're pretty constrained to track. Yeah.
But is he the fastest guy in Australia right now? Or one of the fastest guys in Australia?
Did you see what we did over the weekend?
No. What'd you do over the weekend?
Lockie Kennedy.
Were you with Jacob?
Silver medal, 60 meter indoor worlds.
Wait. Jacob won the 60? Wait,
no,
Australia
Lachlan Kennedy. Lachlan Kennedy.
I was like Jacob won silver?
No.
How old is he?
Lachlan Kennedy. Fuck.
17?
No. He's very early 20s.
That's what I thought. I thought he was a really young guy. The guys I was familiar with are Jack. I want to say his first name's Jack something or another.
We got Jack Edwards, got Rowan Browning. He's quick.
Browning, I'm familiar with him. He's younger too, though. He's way younger than me, I think. Right?
No. Rowan Browning, I think, is getting into his later 20s.
Yeah. I'm 31, so that makes sense.
21.
Maybe even more. Lachlan Kennedy's 21.
Who are the top four guys right now?
There's, oh my God, I'm fucking Azzopardi. Jacob Azzopardi. Is that who you were thinking of? So I might be messing up his first name there. But
is what I'm saying. There's Jacob Despard is the guy I'm thinking of. So there's...
Okay. They all recently together set the Aussie 4x100 record.
Yep. Yeah, so there was... Who was on that? Who was on that team? Who was on that team?
Rowan wasn't in it. Lachlan was in it. Azzopardi was in it.
Ashley Maloney. Yeah, he was a multi, I thought. I thought Ash was a multi. Maloney.
Maybe he is.
Oh,
but I think the other guys are young. And then we got Gout coming.
Wait, what? Gout Gout's going to... What? Gout Gout's Australian?
He's not there yet. Yeah.
He's Australian?
Yeah.
Somewhere.
I didn't do He's a freak. He's a freak. I know. He's gonna be the fastest. He might break the world record. Like he could break the world record with the right. He's someone that you don't like. He's a case where if I were coaching him, I would be scared because you don't want to fuck talent like that up.
Yeah, because everyone can see that the ingredients are there, so everyone knows that you fucked it if he doesn't get there.
Dude, exactly. And that's terrifying. That's a terrifying place to be in. Like, I oftentimes prefer...
Or like S&C you wouldn't fuck with, or just in general?
Just in general. Like, I would use... Let's say I used all of the things. Like, he's someone I would say, Rolf, Randy, you guys take him. Because someone needs to coach him who has skin in the game with athletes like that. Like, I have no data on it. I know how LSU would train him. They might fuck him up. I know how the coach at Georgia is going to train him. They're probably going to fuck him up too. I know how Glenn Mills is going to train him. I know how Stu McMillan's going to train him. I kind of even know how Rolf and Randy's going to train him. But where the rubber meets the road and you start dealing with all those questions you guys are asking me with talent like that, dude, the risk is so much higher than the reward. And at that point, I would just say, whatever you've been doing with whatever coach you've been doing it with has been working. Just keep doing it. The coach has
the most data on him. Keep that going.
Dude, he is fascinating with how much he sprints. It is insane how much sprint volume he gets.
5 days a week.
We talked about his schedule.
Crazy amounts of sprint volume. You guys know I ran into Noah Lyles like a month ago at the mall.
Really?
Yeah, super weird. Right. I was on the phone. This is crazy. I'm on the phone with Isaiah Rivera, highest jumper in the world. I walk out to go pick up my car. I valet it. And I look to my right and I see Noah Lyles. And I was shocked. I was like, I know you live in Claremont, but what are the odds I see you? And I was like, Noah Lyles? I was like, what are you doing here, dude? He was like, oh,
I feel like he'd be cool though.
Excited to talk to me. No, he was not excited to talk to me. He kind of was like, yeah, that's me.
You found me.
Yeah. I'm sick of, it was like, I'm sick of talking to people. Don't talk to me. I'm sick of talking to people. And then I started talking to him about track, and it was just like,
has that side in him.
oh, what do you mean? Like, I don't want to talk to you right now?
Because Noel can be very dividing, like whether you're into the whole personality, the cockiness, confidence, being
He was
quite
not like that at
outspoken.
all. He was not like that at all. Like he was very, I think that is very rehearsed. I think it is very planned. I think it is an inflation of his personality to deal with a lot of the criticism he gets. That's not who he is as a person. Like I know coaches who have coached him
for them to attack.
Yes, attack that person, because that's not who I am. Who I am is like I like Yu-Gi-Oh. Like maybe he does do that sort of thing, but he's a nerd.
There's
dude.
some
He's
crossover.
He's like he likes Yu-Gi-Oh. Dude, he just like there's some crossover, but like he's just like a good kid. He likes his Yu-Gi-Oh. He's like a little bit of a nerd. He's a little bit awkward. He's like a little bit of a dweeb, but he's the fastest guy in the world at the moment, and he's cool with that. I think it's like what you see on TV is the sensationalized version of it, of that person. You know, you're seeing I have to deal with all of this media criticism. I have to deal with all of these people talking negatively about me. I have to deal with people on SportsCenter talking negatively, the NBA dealing. Dude, imagine if LeBron James came up to you and was just talking shit to you. That would
LeBron James respond to the world champs thing?
I don't know if he did, but I know a lot of people did. I mean, dude, I had Richard Jefferson shit on me a year ago. I'm sure you guys know who that is, the bald guy.
I thought it was a base take.
Wait, why'd Richard shit on you? What did you say?
In short, Isaiah was like, "Oh, you should respond to this vertical leap video," and I was like, "Cool, like it's mismeasured." And I said that, but he posted the wrong video. So he had the real video, but he posted the wrong video. He set up a bait and bait and switch kind of thing.
It's pretty funny.
So he was like, "Actually, I did test it. Here it is, idiot." And I was like, "Shit." So
Richard Jefferson was testing his vertical, or like someone else?
Yeah. And I responded to it, and I was like, "This is not a 37-inch vertical." Which, mind you, it probably still wasn't a 37-inch vertical. Like even with the video he sent, I'm like, "Dog, your reach is not 8 foot. It was probably like 8'7". You're in the NBA. I've been around NBA talent before. I've been around Asar Thompson, Amen Thompson, Alex Czar, who was the number 1 pick in 2023. Like I worked with those kids for like a week. I know what like the reach is. I saw it firsthand.
Yeah, I know you were
no way
zoomed in on their arm length, and
dude, I'm like, that's not right. Anyways, so whatever it was, I think he said it was like 38, and he was like, "I'm 40, 38-inch vertical or something," and I was like, "This is BS." And so he's like, "Well, here's the video of me touching 11.6 or whatever it was," and I kind of like looked at it and I was like, "Well, whatever," and I laughed at it. I initially thought it was funny and cool, like that he reacted. And it was funny. It was like tongue in cheek on his part. But then the comments, dude, were so vicious that I was like,
How they bled in.
Oh, they just imagine the worst things that you can say to someone. Just the type of thing, like we have this joke in the business where it's like, what's going to be the final like business ending comment that happens? What's that comment going to be? Because when that comment happens, it'll be like we don't know, it's gonna be like, wonder what it is, because like we've had Hoop Mixtape shit on Isaiah, Richard Jefferson has shit on me, Ben Patrick has shit on me a handful of times. I'm trying to think of what other some popular ones are. I think the Good Drills guy, he actually said we did an okay job, but he's like criticized us before. We've had a lot of big names.
Everyone wants to
talk
shot
shit
at the
about us that
title.
have gotten hundreds of thousands. Oh yeah, dude. Everyone wants a shot at the fucking belt. So it's happened a lot. And, every time no one cares, and it goes back to that thing of like, we all get nervous that that's going to matter. And it just really doesn't, dude. Like, I've started beef with tons of people and it has not impacted our business whatsoever. It never has. It probably never will. And the reason why is because those are my opinions and I'm entitled to my opinion, and that's their opinion.
Beef is what you do.
Opinion.
Beef is for the love of the game.
Beef is for love of the game, dude. Sometimes I've called some people out and I've said some things and I've apologized to those people even, but I'm like, this is my lens on it and I'm entitled to my opinion, and you don't have to like my opinion. That doesn't mean that you have to dislike me necessarily or my training or my product, but like, if I think that, let's say I was like LeBron James is a dirtbag. I don't think LeBron James is a dirtbag. I think sometimes he has some bad takes, but like generally I love LeBron. I think he's getting too old and he needs to stop because like he's ruining my childhood view of him, of a freak athlete. He's just too old. But I respect it. And let's say I was like, LeBron's too old. He needs to retire. And everyone's like, no, LeBron's the best. I love LeBron. He's the GOAT. And like whatever else, I would be like, okay, well, that's like whatever, you know, that, what does that say about my training? Nothing. You know what I mean? That doesn't say anything about my training.
Doing full court sprints into dunks in like 2 days ago before the game.
Yeah, he was just running end to end.
Full court sprinting dunk.
Just trying to warm up, man. He's just trying to warm up those old legs.
5 in a row.
I do the same thing. Yeah, because he probably was like, tonight's the night. Le GOAT is going to come out here and dunk some balls on these youngins. And then he probably went out there and like, was like, my knees hurt. Like, I don't want to be doing this right now.
Like, I love the new song is so good. It's like
there's a new song.
Yeah, Man in the Mirror.
I'll have to look at it.
And it's about like Luka, Austin Reeves, and LeBron are the new big three. It's the LeBron song, but it's all it's very, very current. I love it.
I think that I hope
Man in the Mirror just done in LeBron.
I love the Lakers. I think because of Kobe specifically, that's the only reason I love the Lakers. I loved LeBron because he was a freak athlete. I loved Kobe because that's who I grew up watching, and everyone that was older than me that I respected thought he was the GOAT. So I loved Kobe. I didn't have a lot of MJaculators out there. I had a lot of Kobe Bryant supporters. Okay, I didn't grow up around all those MJ was the GOAT people. And so
but you
now,
at the same age, Space Jam did so much for MJ's legacy.
But I just didn't.
I swear.
I don't know. I think he wasn't playing well whenever I started getting into basketball. Like he was a wizard, you know, like what was his last good year? 95, 96 or something. I don't even know what it was.
Yeah, 96.
So like if I don't know stats like that, but let's say it was 96, right? I would have been 3 years old. Dude, he played for the Wizards in what, like 1999 to 2003 or something like that. Like Kobe, in my eyes, I was like, oh, if Michael Jordan's the GOAT, like how's he doing in the league? And they're like, Kobe's like, I vividly remember someone saying, yeah, he's not that good. My brother maybe. And he was like, he's not that good. And I'm like, well, he's the greatest ever. And my brother was like, he's in the league and he's not that good.
Yeah. And I was seeing the human aspect of him.
What? And then I thought to myself, well, Kobe's the GOAT. Like Kobe's out there winning rings every year. And then Kobe became the GOAT. So that was my lens on it. And then LeBron, I would watch LeBron. He's just a grown man among men. Dude, he was looking like an ogre running down the court, slinging 100-mile-an-hour passes to defenders and then dunking it at the other end. I'm LeBron. Like it was just amazing. And then, and then I would say now I think Jaw's probably my favorite to watch. Dunking is not as popular anymore. Like dunking in the game of basketball really doesn't offer you much. It's worth 2 points, not 3. And we all know how the 3 has inflated the game. So it's like, it's kind of sucks. And then on top of that, you have guys like Isaiah who make NBA players kind of look bad.
We're almost like in the era where you can't, so many of the best players don't pass the eye test. That's probably not phrasing that the right way, but you know, like Joe.
Oh, you mean they look fat and out of shape?
Yeah.
Like
I'll say it right now, dude. They're hooping, bro. He's looking like this out. He's like,
it goes in, but it goes.
Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I kind of love it. I kind of hate it at the same time.
No, I hate it. I hate it so much. I loved basketball because of athletes. Like I loved working. I worked with a men in a SAR, and I've always loved basketball. I've only liked the athletes in basketball. Like I've never been interested in someone who wasn't athletic, you know, if they're like Yao Ming. Okay. Yao Ming was never going to do it for me. Okay.
Yeah.
Even Curry, I was like, I don't care. You know, I've always thought being athletic was cool. Dunking a ball, the flashiest thing, the most explosive thing you can do. And just being a freak athlete. That is a definition of a freak athlete. Like football player-esque, but with handles. Yeah. Sign me up. Give me.
Hey, no one's hitting threes in their dreams. No one's hitting threes in the dreams. You're deep in the paint, posterizing cunts, slamming it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, that's a great
way
to
shut your eyes.
When you close your eyes, I'm dunking on. I've got to try that guy. I wish I could say that. posterizing cunts in the paint. Literally, you don't see a little kid. I mean, I guess now maybe you see like Steph, little kids. You will now. Pretend you're like Steph Curry, like shooting a three and winning the game. But like, dude, it used to be Russ dunking on
2017 Russ.
Just
arm behind the head.
Dude, beautiful. And people, and I think it's sad. Yeah, I do. But I think it's sad because you don't see that as much anymore. Now it's like the game has changed. And I mean, dude, look at viewership. No one wants to watch it. It's a shitty product. Crazy, dude. Look at the look at the ratings. I think they're making more money than ever, but the viewership is really bad because they've basically watered the product down to the point where it's just catch and shoot threes from everyone on the court, regardless of if they can shoot or not. And there's no driving, there's no hard cuts, there's no ankle breaking, there's no dunks. Like, dude, Steph Curry makes a three. So what? I'll see that 70 more times in the game. You know,
they need to make a three at 2.5, worth 2.5, I think.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. But yeah, it's just been, the game itself is just not what it used to be. And, it's like maybe the European style of play, like the world style of play that they did in the Olympics. And then I think the Euro League probably has similar rules, I think. Is that correct?
I think close to the international game. Yeah.
Yeah. So like those guys, I think basketball is like entertaining that way, but it's faster paced. There's not as many timeouts. There's not as many, like, if they go back to that, maybe the viewership will come back up. But right now, I mean, did you see the ads?
Crowds. It's insane.
Dude, the ad in there is crazy. How much is just ad space is crazy in the game.
Oh, and it's right. Like,
just a giant getting unwatchable.
Yeah.
Dude,
I see it with the UFC.
I'm not even watching the game anymore.
Are they going to have like a banner like over the athlete's eyes? Or like,
it's like Talladega Nights.
Dude,
that's got it across the windscreen.
Movies of all time.
Like, it's happening. Like, we're there.
Dude, what is, I mean, the last couple fights have not been, I feel like the last couple UFC fights, outside of when it was,
because you mean the Krav Maga World Championship.
Yeah.
Dude, eye poke's illegal.
So you're like a big UFC fan. Okay, so I recently, my girlfriend got into it. My girlfriend loves UFC. She's the one that got me into it. And so I started watching UFC the last year, and I love it, dude. I love it. I think they are just violent.
The best soap opera in the world.
It is, dude. It really is. Here's the thing, though.
Because they gotta fight. They talk shit, and then they actually fight.
Yeah, it's awesome. So the only downside is that now what's happening for wins and losses is she's at the window like, tell me more about how great I am. Anyways, so the wins and losses now, it's becoming more like less of them attacking and more strategic waiting. And that has kind of made it boring in the title round fights, I think. Yeah. I don't know. I don't remember. It's always super late here when the title round fights are on. We're talking like it's like 2 a.m. when these fights come on. I don't know what it is for you guys. It's probably in the morning, right?
Like it's 3 p.m.
Usually like 3 p.m. It's a beautiful Sunday, Arvo.
Dude, it sucks balls. It's literally, no, it sucks. It's like everyone is falling asleep by the final fight because it's always West Coast. It's always at 2 a.m., which there is like maybe 11 or whatever. Like we don't have East Coast fights the fight's going to end at 11. That's not going to happen. Or 12. Like it's 2 a.m. and I'm falling asleep.
For half the country.
Yeah. So like when you see Pereira come in and then like, he's just playing defense the whole time. I was just like, this sucks, dude. Like what happened to these guys just beating the shit out of each other? And like some of the earlier round fights, I think the first fight of the last, what was it? UFC 308 or whatever. Was that what it was?
Yeah. Some of them are insane. It's a classic 311 we just went through. What was
311. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Angus. Appreciate it. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The last one had a great first round fight. Or second round fight. It was awesome. It was amazing. There was a bloodbath, and I loved it. But whenever it's just like they roll around, yeah. When it's just they're like laying on the ground and there's no like real punches, or it's just like they're just rolled up in a ball on the side of the cage. I'm like, this sucks, dude. This is so boring. Or like just moving around and like occasionally striking.
There's such separation between like the best moments and then like there's a lot of palate cleanses.
Oh yeah.
You get a lot of palate cleanses.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. And hopefully the title fights are like that, but it's not always the case. So yeah, anyways, I have become a big UFC fan. I don't think I'll ever work with UFC athletes because they take a special personality, but I think it would be fun. I think it would be a fun
don't think you could
task.
tolerate them. I think they're too stupid for you.
I've seen a friend of mine, John Barlow, worked with them whenever like Dana White came in to the facility one of the days where I was at the gym. Dude, I have so many random, like running into like random big time celebrities and stuff like that.
The aura.
This is one of them. No, dude, just putting myself in the right space at the right time. So we're in the gym and I'm like coaching the Altus athletes, and they coached in the same facility as a lot of the top UFC athletes. So I don't know who, I wasn't following UFC at the time. I couldn't tell you who was training there, but they would train in the morning. The NFL guys would come in and then the Altus guys would come in. So Dana White was leaving the facility whenever I was like walking in, and Dana White just like walked by, and all the interns looked at each other and we were like, did you just, that was Dana motherfucking White? Like, it was crazy.
Eggman in the flesh.
Yeah, he just like walked in. Yeah, it was awesome. The Eggman. But yeah, that was a pretty cool experience. And John Barlow, anyways, he coached them. And they do a lot of what he was doing with them made a lot of sense. Like, he got them strong. They did a lot of rotational power work. They had a lot of it seems like most of them kind of do CrossFit-esque stuff with a little bit more specificity. You know, they'll throw a heavy med ball in there, or they'll throw, something that's unconventional in terms of like CrossFit. You're not like doing repeat cleans, but it might be like heavy ass med ball slams like on repeat. And then they're doing like, some form of a plyo for an extended period of time. And then maybe they're doing, med ball twists to each other. Like, they would just get after it. And I did like that aspect of it. I think the sport's changing more now, where most of the fitness work is done in the cage in some format. And guys are probably just getting stronger. But when I was around it, at least that's a little bit I saw. I mean, that was almost 10 years ago. So take it for what you
feel
will.
like we're entering the era. We're entering the era of like weaponized cardio. And I think we're also entering the era where people are a lot less romantic about the technique of the martial arts. And it's like, oh, if you're an absolute fucking savage and you can fit them all together well, and you just have a crazy gas tank, it's like you can break a lot. Like, everyone's skill goes to shit when they're gassed.
We got two champions, Dricus and Murat.
Dude, Dricus is such a fucking, I hate him so much. He's such a good villain, bro.
I've completely turned
villain,
around
bro.
on him. He's just a Chad. He's tougher. He's bigger. He's stronger.
You really think
he's
that's
going to
it?
give you a wedgie. Yeah, I think that. You explain it to me.
He's going to give you a wedgie.
He slips over on his takedown entries. But Israel Adesanya summed it up better than anyone else. Israel Adesanya, when he was recounting their fight, he's like, DDP is a winner. Anytime he senses the tide of the fight changing, he just does something just to stay ahead. He is so ultra competitive, and he has the body that can keep up. He's like, I saw him so many times gassed. He's like, great, I've got him now. I've got momentum. And he's like, and he would just swing this haymaker at me just to stop me. Just be like, I've got to respect this. And it just seems like,
this guy will knock me out if I... It's
Yeah.
kind of crazy. That's interesting. I hope that happens, because that's going to give people like me an edge, because that's what I'm good at.
His time will come. His time will come.
Do you think Dricus, which one? Do you think
Dricus.
my time will come?
No.
Dricus' time is now, dude. Dricus is a winner. What do you mean? His time is now.
Oh, no, sorry.
Dricus is a
his
winner.
demise. Like, as in, that's the good
his
thing about the
demise.
sport. You're going to see someone face plant. Like, no one makes it out alive.
What do you think of Conor McGregor these days? You think he's CTE cooked?
Yeah.
Brain is
I think it's
like
more
a fried
drugs.
egg
I think it's
on
more
a-
drugs than CTE.
He's just done some, copious amounts of cocaine.
cocaine. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of
seems like it too.
CTE.
It's kind of
a lot of cocaine. It is. It's more sad because
it tries to.
Yeah, it's more sad because
Oh,
he even said it as like a warning. He's like, I'm not going to be like that guy who hangs on for too long in the game and who's just passed and is a shell of his former self. And it's like, it's exactly what he did.
Removed. I think he's been removed from the as a fighter recently.
Oh, has he? He's officially
Yeah.
off. Like, he can't.
think
I think
off
that's
anymore.
fake news. As the
is it?
official
Yeah.
UFC journalist for the podcast, I'm refuting that.
Okay.
All right, I respect that, Angus, because I don't know any better. I find UFC to be fascinating. But yeah, I wouldn't know the
I
answer.
think you'd be
But
probably
it
making
is,
better headlines, though. You're right.
yeah. Look,
Yeah,
it
he's
is-
not
it has
fighting
been
again, but there's no way that they would admit defeat on like whether or not he's going to fight again. UFC won't push him out. It's on Conor to be like, all right, I'm actually kidding. I'm not coming back.
Yeah, no, seriously, this time I'm done. 33 and a turd.
That's good.
Yeah, well, I would do it. I haven't practiced it enough. I'll work on it later. I do have to get going because my
No,
girlfriend.
no,
I
dude,
think-
this has
I
been
think,
fucking
she's smashed,
phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think my girlfriend has probably smashed a bottle of wine in there and is like drunk off her ass. I need to make sure she doesn't kill herself.
Mate, get stuck in there and enjoy yourself. And thank you so much for coming on because this whole chat, heaps of gold, a lot of takeaways for us. So
Dude, I had so much fun.
Thanks
I
for
really
coming.
did. Yeah, no, both of you
We'll do
guys
it again.
keep fighting the good fight.